Okay, so I was initially going to label this great chromatic jazz lick as kind of like clickbait because most people don't realize. I've played this riff before for other people and they say, is that jazz? And then I actually have to point out this is actually written in 1833 by Frederick Chopin, okay? And now, this is, that's why I'm labeling this great chromatic riffs, and I'm going to have a bunch of episodes on just little passages like this that are highly chromatic and using chromatic harmony. So what exactly is chromatic harmony? It's literally it's using chords that have to be chromatically altered out of key. Now I'm back in key using C major, okay? So let's go over the Chopin riff. I'll stop there, okay? That's the passage. And every time I play that, people think it's jazz if I just play that part. But it's actually part of a Mazurka written in 1833. This is a Polish dance, kind of like a waltz, similar to a waltz. Now you have to bear in mind this is only a few years after Beethoven's passing. So the type of chains they were doing and that were highly chromatic were dominant chains. So this is actually very bold, the kind of chords he's using and chaining with. Here's the part. Very tonal. Now, this passage. Then he goes back into the main riff. And I'm sorry, I'm not a keyboard player, so I'm trying to interpret it as best as I can as a guitar player. The harmony, on the other hand, I could explain. So, he does these... this really, really cool chain. And I'm going to show you how you can interpret this. This is one way. Forget Roman numerals for now. So what I did basically is I wrote out all of them in block formation here, okay? Now, that D sharp half diminished would normally resolve to the G sharp dominant 7th chord and usually go to a C sharp minor chord. And that was common use to it prior to the Romantic era. Now, he's only using just that part of that resolution, just the resolution itself. And he does this a few times. The D sharp half diminished to the G sharp dominant. Okay, and then he does the same move again. We're going to go just to the half diminished, okay? He does a C sharp half diminished. Same move again, resolved to an F sharp dominant 7th chord. He's resolving these half diminished chords exactly how you normally would. Down a 5th or up a 4th to a dominant chord. So every one of the half diminished chords resolves very typically, okay? I'm skipping chords in here. I'm just showing you that. So he's resolving that half diminished in a very common way every single time. Now, the different part is that he's doing this movement like this. Now that's kind of a dominant chain. Okay, now that's converted to a half diminished, the C sharp dominant. Now resolved again to F sharp dominant. Now he writes this as D sharp diminished, but it's enharmonically the same as F sharp fully diminished 7th. So let's look at it at the enharmonic, and then it goes to B half diminished, resolves normally to the E 7th, turns that into a C sharp diminished 7th, which is still an E diminished 7th respelled, okay? And then an A half diminished, a D dominant 7th, G sharp half diminished, C sharp dominant 7th, and then resolved to F minor. Now, if you look at the enharmonic respellings that we did, what is this? It's circle of 5th movement. Okay, that's all it is. Except in a way where it's not dominant chains anymore. This is one way to look at it. This is the way I see it. Literally, it's just counterclockwise movement, root movement around the circle of 5ths, but not using dominance anymore. That used to be so common in like the classical era. Okay. that's one way to look at it. Forget throwing Roman numerals in here. Just look at this as a counterclockwise chain. Play it all in root position. You can hear that circle of fifth movement. Remember, tritones also count as circle of fifth type movements. Okay. So this move is actually really, really bold considering the time period it came out in. Beethoven had just passed away, just literally a few years prior to that. People were still using that kind of harmony where it was mostly dominant chains that were in control of the, the chromatic harmony. And now he comes and throws a bunch of wrenches in this with all kinds of different types of seventh chords, but it's still a circle of fifth movement. However, the way he set it up, it doesn't seem like it until you really tear it apart. So, and then another thing that makes it cool is this is, I think, 30 years prior to the, like the Tristan chord from Wagner. So Chopin was already kind of foreshadowing that kind of harmony already. And he does it briefly, but the interesting part too is he does it in the middle of a Polish dance. So that makes it even more interesting. It'd be like throwing this into a waltz. And also remember, interpretations are always going to be different. I prefer in a case like this, just check out Roman numerals. I don't want to figure all that out. I'd rather tear it apart by putting it in block chords, see if there's any enharmonic thing that would help me see what's going on. And then once I did that, I actually saw it was just actually going counterclockwise, root movement-wise, in the circle of fifths. Literally, it's like a dominant chain, but using all kinds of different other chords other than dominance, other than just dominance. I mean, dominant-based chords. So I'll play it through it one more time as best as I can. I'm a guitar player, so it's going to be sloppy and it's going to be a poor interpretation. So